सबको मेरा प्यार भरा प्रणाम, नमस्कार और स्वागत है आप सब लोगों का इस द्वितीय सत्र में, द सेकंड सेशन ऑफ आवर कॉमन योगा प्रोटोकॉल फॉर एल्डर्स लेक्चर सीरीज ऑन सैटरडे 7 o'clock। तो सभी लोगों का पुनः एक बार स्वागत। आज हम शुरुआत करेंगे अपने कार्यक्रम की प्रार्थना के साथ। उससे पूर्व आप सब लोगों को आग्रह है, यू कैन जस्ट म्यूट योर माइक। आपका माइक जो है आप म्यूट करके रखिए, सो दैट एवरीबॉडी विल लिसन इट प्रॉपरली। सब लोगों को आग्रह है कि आपका माइक आप म्यूट करें। जस्ट म्यूट योर माइक सो दैट एवरीबॉडी विल लिसन इट प्रॉपरली। अडॉप्ट नमस्कार प्रार्थना करेंगे सब एक साथ। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। आज के इस सत्र में हम लोगों को उद्बोधित करने के लिए वी आर हैविंग द गेस्ट स्पीकर विथ अस, प्रोफेसर श्रीराम आगाशे फ्रॉम मुंबई, and he is a very senior yoga practitioner and also a great intellectual in the field of yoga. So I will request our Rashmi Tai, who is the coordinator for this particular project, Satyam, coordinator for Maharashtra, particularly in Nasik area. So I will request Rashmi Tai to introduce Professor Shriram Agashe for the benefit of our all elders. Over to Rashmi Tai.
Namaste all. Vivekananda Marde is engaged in developing a community yoga protocol for elders to build innate immunity. This yoga protocol is designed for 2 months with the coordinating centers in Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Northeast. Through online and offline taken from the elders daily for the independent, dependent, and despondent categories to income as a way of life. Kendra has organized dialogue with Vanaprasthas. Last week it was on the relevance of Yoga Vasistha in daily life, and now this week it is on Yamaya Gateway to the Powerhouse Mind, Dr. Shriram Agashe. Dr. Agashe joined Kendra at the age of 23, worked in different capacities in the field of yoga, education, and socio-cultural activities across the country for the last 50 years. He has organized yoga courses across the world. His doctorate is on meditative technique and their metaphysical foundations from Mumbai University. He has been guide for many PhD scholars and has immense teaching experience. He has
So Dr. Shriram Hari Agashe joined Vivekananda Kendra at the age of 23, worked in different capacities in the field of education, yoga, and socio-cultural activities across the country for the last 50 years. He has organized yoga courses across the world. His doctorate was on the thesis Meditative Techniques and their Metaphysical Foundations from Mumbai University. He has been the guide for many PhD scholars and has immense teaching experience. He has authored a book titled Patanjali Yoga Darshan, published by Vivekananda Kendra, and Yoga Darshan with reference to Vyasa Bhashya, and has contributed many articles and research papers. Since 2010, he has engaged in Swadhyay Varga on major Upanishads, Yoga Vasishta, Bhagavad Gita, Siddha Siddhantapati, and then Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Arvinda till date. He is the recipient of Yoga Mitra Award from Yoga Vidya Niketan, Navi Mumbai, Maharashtra. So this is short and brief introduction about the Sri Ram Akashe, but Sri Ramji's personality is much more than what we have generally read just now about his topic. So today Sri Ramji will talk on the subject called Yam Niyam, that is the 10th commandment, the discipline about the personal life. And the Yam Niyam is a gateway of powerhouse of for our mind, so that we can overcome whatever may be the psychosomatic ailments we are having at our level. So I will request Sri Ramji to take care of these sessions, and over to Sri Ramji for further session. So all of you are requested to just go to the layout and click to Sri Ram Akash's name, so that you will able to see his face on the your laptop or monitor or mobile. And then if you are having any questions, you can just give your questions on the chat box, and your question will be read by our Sukumarji at the end of the session for the benefit of you all. And Sri Ramji will answer your questions. And again, I will request to all of you kindly mute your mic, so that we can able to listen Sri Ramji nicely. Over to Sri Ramji.
I shall begin with a prayer to Patanjali, which is very famous prayer, and if you know it, you can also chant at your end. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya chavaidhyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi. As this prayer says, Patanjali was a very great sage who was master in 3 fields. The field of yoga, of course, the field of grammar, and the field of Ayurveda. And that is why he could write precisely what is known as Yoga Sutras, in which extensive knowledge is given in minimum possible words. A sutra is condensed form of knowledge, and very beautifully Patanjali has given 196 sutras in which he tells everything about yoga. And Patanjali's yoga is also called as Ashtanga Yoga because it has 8 limbs, and those 8 limbs are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So they are the 8 limbs of Patanjali Yoga. And as you must have noticed, it begins with Yama Niyamas, which is the topic which I am going to discuss today. So Yamas, the rules of social conduct, and the Niyamas, the rules of individual conduct. And they are known as the values which one has to keep in life. Okay. Now we all probably, I think it is there in all the educational institutions all over India, but certainly in Maharashtra, we have value education, you know, everywhere in all the schools. Students are supposed to learn values. Values like non-violence, values like truthfulness and non-stealing, whatever we call as Yamas, as well as the general values also. But then that value education class or Mulya Shikshana Varga, as it is called in Hindi, Mulya Shikshana, that is not taken very seriously, neither by the students nor by the teachers. Okay, so even the other values, which are just social values, just a simple value that you should keep left when you are walking on the street. The teacher teaches in the class, but when the school is over and when they come out, the student sees that teacher is walking on the right side of the road, and he knows that those values are only for the sake of exam. You have to tick mark what is right and wrong, but are not to be kept in life. They are not very practicable. That is what the students start learning in the value education class. But if you see in all the religions, these Yamas are there one way or the other. If it is Christianity or even in Islam, no religion tells you to harm others. They tell about non-violence, they tell about truthfulness. No religion tells us to talk lies or steal the things. Every religion, they tell us to be truthful, to be non-violent, non-stealing, whatever Yamas we are going to discuss, they are there in all the religions. Why it is like that? And then another thing is, the religions tell about it, but hardly there is any book which tells why we should be non-violent, why we should be truthful. If the young person in the modern age says that you are talking about truthfulness, but we find that all those who keep on lying and are non-truthful, they seem to be our leaders. You know, they come and during the election time, they tell that if you elect me, you will see nice roads in your society. I will see that the water comes to every house, all sorts of things. And then for the next 5 years, the fellow doesn't even visit the thing, and he becomes very rich. He has so many cars. Even in the business line, you will find that observing truthfulness is not really very practicable. You know, that is what the modern generation will always say, that why you are asking us to be truthful and land in trouble. You know, even the ordinary person will also say that being truthful is not very practicable. If the husband and wife, they are getting ready for a party in the evening, and if the wife asks the husband, how do I look? No husband can really talk the truth. He has to say that she is the most beautiful woman on the earth and she is looking gorgeous, whatever may be the thing, because he has to come back to the house. You see, so we adopt what is known as the compromise way, and we say that as far as possible, I will be truthful. But if it comes to life and death, and if I'm losing lot of things, then of course, I think talking a lie is a wise thing. Or I will be non-violent, there is no doubt about it. But if I see that the child is not at all studying and all that, I should be a little bit violent and I should beat him now and then so that he studies and all. So we feel that these Yamas which they have talked about in all the religions and particularly in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, from practical point of view, they are not so practicable. That is what we feel, you know. But what Patanjali is saying and what our scriptures are saying and what all the religions are saying is that these Yamas, they are the gateway to the tremendous mental strength. That is why the title which we have given to this talk today is that Yamas, the gateway to the powerhouse, that is the mind. Each and everybody's mind is a great powerhouse, really speaking. There are immense potentialities in each mind. Why we are not able to develop that potentiality, why it is not coming out, why we are not able to express those great potentials which are there in each and every mind, that is because we are wasting the mental energies. We are wasting the mental energies in gossiping, in talking ill about others, and In short, by non-observing the yama niyamas, the mental energies are not generated, not put into practice. So what Patanjali is telling is that if you observe yama niyamas, tremendous, only sky is your limit. So we are going to have a look at it and find out for ourselves how far practicable it is. But he is saying to the extent you do it, to that extent the mental strength comes. Those people who have been able to walk on the path of yama niyamas, they have been very great people. You know, in the recent times, Mahatma Gandhi was the one who tried to put all these yama niyamas into practice, and we know how great he became. You know, the truthfulness, a wonderful book which Mahatma Gandhi has written and which everybody should read is My Experiments with Truth. You know, when Mahatma Gandhi was just a schoolboy, that time he was only Mohandas. He was not Mahatma Gandhi at that time. He was only Mohandas Karamdas Gandhi, and going to the school, and the inspector came to the school, and he gave one mathematical problem which everybody started, and the teacher was looking, and he saw that Mohandas, that is Mahatma Gandhi, he had not solved it correctly, and he was indicating to them very clearly that you copy from your neighbor. He has written it correctly, you copy down. He did not do it because observance of truth, observance of non-stealing was right there in his blood, you know. So that is why he could make this non-violence, ahimsa, as a great freedom movement itself. You know, people laughed at him that how non-violence can win us freedom. You know, the British Raj which was there, they used to say at that time that sun never sets on the British Empire. They were so strong. It was impossible to defeat them by waging a war against them. But then he adopted non-violence, and the key was he involved the most common man in the freedom struggle. That was the strength of non-violence. That is why, you know, when we were children, there was a beautiful song. दे दी हमें आजादी बिना खड़ग बिना ढाल, साबरमती के संत तुम्हें कर दिया कमाल. Even without any war weapons, even without tarwar or anything, he could win the freedom for India only through non-violence, you know. And then My Experiments with Truth, that is another book which he has written, very wonderful book. So it is not impossible to observe yama niyamas even in this age, and those who have been able to do it, they have really become very great. Now, let us talk about yama niyamas first, and then as much time I have, I will be discussing about them. The first thing which Patanjali has told is this, that this yama niyamas, if you really want the power to be drawn, if you want that the mind should become tremendously powerful, then there should not be any compromise when you observe yama niyamas. They have to be observed as Mahavrata, you know, as a great vow. You should not compromise. That whenever possible, people generally observe yama niyamas, they will say that I will observe truthfulness to the extent possible. So it is anuvrata. I will observe non-violence to the extent possible. That is only anuvrata. Mahavrata means at any cost, you are not leaving the yama niyamas. Okay. So what Patanjali says is how yama niyamas are to be observed. Patanjali says, Jati desha kala samayan anavachinnaha sarvabhaumaha mahavratam. If you really want that power to come in your life, if you want to draw that mental power, yama niyamas are to be observed as a Mahavrata. Jati desha kala. You know, it should not be limited by the jati, that is the species. That you say that I am non-violent as far as human beings are concerned, but I don't mind killing the fish or killing the goat and all that. So your non-violence is limited only to the human beings. That is jati. Jati means the species, you know. Desha. You will say that, oh, I will be truthful only to the Indians. But if there is some Pakistani or some other people, I will talk a lie for the sake of my country or something. That is not allowed in Mahavrata. Desha. Kala. That means the time. You know, in Hindi, many times they say, sabere sabere jhoot mat bolo. Sabere sabere jhoot mat bolo. Don't talk a lie in the morning. That means in the afternoon you can talk a lie. In the evening you can talk a lie. Only don't talk a lie in the morning. That means your niyama or yama is limited to the time. You know, time limit. Even the vratas which we take, we have chaturmasa vrata. So there are so many people who in those 4 months, they are strictly vegetarians. They will not take even pyaz, lasun, or garlic and onion, and they are very strictly vegetarian. As soon as those 4 months are over, they start eating non-veg and all. So limited by time, limited to the species, limited to the country or place. It should not be so. If you want to observe, Yamas are Mahavrata. Jati Desha Kala Samayan Anavachinna. It should not be limited by that. Sarvabhauma at all times, in all circumstances, at all places. If you observe these Yamas, then only power will be generated. And in the next few sutras, which I am going to show, and we can put the slides on, how the powers are associated with Yamas, Patanjali is indicating. With each, there are Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. These are the 5 yamas. And Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. They are the niyamas. So let us have a look at what are the powers which are associated with the Yama niyamas, provided you observe them as a Mahavrata, as a great vow, without any compromise. Okay, have a look at it. So the first slide says, Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairatyagaha. If one is established in non-violence, not only he will not harm anybody, and non-violence means it is non-violence at the level of speech, at the level of action, kaya vacha mane. These yama niyamas are to be observed at the physical level, at the level of speech, at the level of mind. So when you are saying non-violent, not only if you hit somebody, injure somebody physically, it means violence. Much more injury you can go give through speech. You know, you insult somebody. If you hit somebody, then maybe it will pain for some time, and after some time it will be all right. After 4 or 5 days he will be all right. If you insult somebody, then that injury remains for a long time. Maybe throughout life he will not forget it. You know, so injuries which are done through speech are more harmful than the injuries which are done physical injuries, ahimsa. So ahimsa should be practiced physically as well as by speech and as well as by mind. If you are thinking ill about others, if you have bad thoughts about others, if you are violent mentally, then also it is himsa. So in all these yama niyamas, they have to be practiced kaya vacha mane. That is what we have to understand. Physically, by speech, even at the level of the mind, at all the levels of your personality, ahimsa, satya, asteya is to be practiced. That is one thing which we have to remember. Now, this particular sutra which is in front of you, he says that if one gets established in ahimsa, that means if one is observing non-violence as a great vow, tat sannidho, in his presence, vairatyaga, even the ordinary people will have no enmity. They will not be enemies of each other. You know. So what it means really is, one who is established in non-violence, ahimsa pratisthayam, he creates a zone of peace around him. And whosoever comes in that aura of his sadhana, he will become so calm and quiet that he will not show his enmity to anybody. Because if you want to have some kind of violence, the thought of violence should first arise. Every action is preceded by thought. हर एक जो क्रिया होता है वो क्रिया के पीछे पहले विचार होता है. You will have thought of violence and then you will be violent. Now when you come in contact with a person who is non-violent, who is established in non-violence, the peace, with that peace there will not be thought of violence at all. And you will see, in Jainism, they say ahimsa paramo dharmaha. The greatest in the religion is ahimsa, the non-violence. Ahimsa paramo dharma. The greatest in the religion according to Jainism is non-violence. And you find so many pictures of Mahavir Jain, who is sitting in meditation under a tree in the forest, and around him all the animals are sitting quietly. And there is a lion, and by the side there is a deer, and there is a snake, and by that side there is a frog. Natural enemies. But those natural enemies, they have forgotten their hostility to each other, and they have become calm and quiet in presence of Mahavir Jain. And this is quite possible. This was shown by many people. When Buddha, when he was established in non-violence, we know very well the story of Angulimala. There was a demon called Angulimala, and what he used to do, he was staying in a forest, and whosoever goes passerby, he will injure him, he will loot him, and he had a very peculiar thing. He used to cut his finger, and he had made a garland of those fingers. So that is why he is called अंगुली माला. उंगलियों की माला उसने बनाई थी, इसलिए उसको अंगुली माला कहते थे. Very terrible demon. Okay. And then he came to know that Buddha is a very great saint, and then he had a desire that just as you have some kind of ruby in your garland, and the ruby right in the middle will look very beautiful. So he thought that if Buddha's finger is also there in my mala, it will be very wonderful. So thinking like that, he came to know that Buddha has come to the next village. So he took his sword and started going there. And as he started going there, very peculiar thing happened. He thought that, oh, Buddha is a sannyasi. I kill people to get money. Buddha may be having only the loin cloth. Why should I kill Buddha? But then I want his finger. So I will do one thing. I will just cut his hand and I will not kill him. When he went further, he said that why should I cut the finger of Buddha also? And then by the time he reached there, he was crying. Buddha never gave him any sermon. Buddha never gave him any lecture. He himself changed. That was the effect of non-violence and the aura which was there around Lord Buddha. He became non-violent. He became peaceful. He was crying. And he fell at the feet of Buddha and said, I am a sinner. Please advise me. So this is the power of non-violence which was shown in the Buddha's time. So ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairatyaga. If you want that the violence should stop in the world, we need the yogis who will be able to stop the violence. Tremendous peace will, and actually the earth is not finished because of such yogis who are keeping the earth alive. We shall not discuss that much right now, but the little bit of peace which is remaining on the earth is because of the thousands of yogis, munis, siddhas who are practicing non-violence, who are practicing yoga, and it is their vibrations only which are keeping us alive today. Let us go to the next slide and see what Satya can do. Truthfulness. So after ahimsa comes the truthfulness. And he says, if you observe truthfulness as a Mahavrata, Satya Pratisthayam Kriya Phalashrayatvam, one who is established in truth, not only he will be truthful all the time, but whatever he says will become true. He will get what is known as Vacha Siddhi. Whatever he says will become truth. Such a person, if you get blessing from a person, who is establishing truth, that blessing will come true. Satya pratisthayam kriya phalashrayatvam. There was a very peculiar incident which take place at Belur Mutt, at Ramakrishna Dakshineshwar in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was looked after by Hriday, his nephew. Because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to go to ecstasy, to samadhi, and will not know about where is he and whether he has taken food, whether clothes are there or not. So Hriday used to take care of him, and Hriday used to help him also in his daily puja, preparing everything for the puja and all. But then Hriday also used to ask very tedious questions to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And in one of the satsanga which was going on, this very sutra was being discussed. Satya pratisthayam kriya phalashrayatvam. If the yogi is establishing truth, whatever he says will become true. Then Hriday immediately got up and he said that suppose if a yogi is establishing truth and if he says something which is against the nature, निसर्ग के खिलाफ अगर वो कुछ बोला तो वो क्या सत्य हो जाएगा? If he speaks against the nature, the laws of nature, will it become true? Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told him that how a person who is establishing truth, how can he speak against the natural law? It is impossible for him, and truth will not come out of his mouth at all. And the discussion went on and on and on, and then Hriday finally told Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, remember, he told, probably you are not understanding what I am saying. मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ शायद आपके समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, ऐसा हृदय रामकृष्ण परमहंस को बताता है. And he said, okay, I will give you simple example. And he looked outside and there was a beautiful tree outside with white flowers. And he said to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that this tree has white flowers. If a person who is establishing truth, if he says red flowers will come to this tree, will red flowers come to this tree? Now that discussion was dragged on so much, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, if it becomes little late for Kali Puja, he used to become very uneasy and he wanted to stop the subject. And so very casually he said that, well, let us go to Kali Puja. Well, if the person is establishing truth, even the red flowers will come to this tree. Very casual remark. And they went for the Kali Puja. But then they say that next day, when Hriday went out for plucking flowers, there were two beautiful red flowers on the tree, with white flowers otherwise. Very casual remark by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, So that is the power of Satya Pratisthayam Kriya Phalashrayatvam. Let us go to the next slide, please. So, Asteya Pratisthayam Sarvaratnopasthanam. One who is established in Asteya, non-stealing, all the treasure presents before him. They say that the yogis who are established in the Asteya, non-stealing, they know what are the treasures even under the earth. That is what they say. But one has to be, and then Sarvaratnopasthanam literally did not mean the precious stones. रत्न यानी एक तो अर्थ रत्नों का ये होता है कि जो ज्वेलरी में होते हैं वो रत्न. But one other meaning of Ratna is the best among the men. Is also called, Akbar had that Navaratna Darbar in which Birbal was also there. So the person who is the topmost among any field was also known as Ratna. So one of the interpretations of this sutra is that such a person will be surrounded by best among the men. That also could be another interpretation of Asteya. Now, another story which I remember about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, as far as Asteya is concerned, in his last days, he was suffering from throat cancer, and a doctor from Calcutta, he used to come to Dakshineshwar. He used to sit in the satsang, and he had asked for a promise from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as one of his disciples. He said that you give me promise that you will take this medicine without fail. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, well, I will do that, I will take every day. But then he said that no, I am not satisfied with this promise. You say that I will not do Kali Puja unless I take this medicine. You promise me that. Then I will be very sure. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, out of love for his disciple, he promised that also. Well, I will not do Kali Puja unless I take this medicine. And the doctor used to come at around 3 o'clock to the ashram, and he used to bring that medicine, then sit in satsang till the evening, and then he used to go back. One day he did not come at 3 o'clock, and they were waiting and waiting. He did not come at 4 o'clock also. Now Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was very much worried, not because he could not take medicine, because he had promised it that he will not do Kali Puja. So he then said that let us go to the doctor's house, why he has not come and all. So along with Hruday, he went to doctor's house, and doctor had gone to Calcutta for some emergency treatment. He had gone to Calcutta. But then Hruday saw that on his table, the same bottles, the same medicine was kept actually. Hruday immediately recognized it. And Hruday said, I know, this is the medicine because I am the one who is giving you this medicine. Doctor must have kept it for us only. Let us take this medicine and go. Now it was becoming late for Kali Puja also. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa nodded his head. So he took those bottles of medicine, and the strange thing happened, They went round and round doctor's bungalow, but they couldn't find a gate to come out. 2-4 बार वो बंगले के इर्द गिर्द घूमे हृदय और रामकृष्ण, लेकिन बंगले का गेट ही उनको मिल नहीं पा रहा था. And then Ramakrishna immediately told that, oh, I understand this. Mother will not allow it. We have taken it without his permission. Keep back the medicine. Go. And then he ordered Hruday. Hruday kept back the medicine, and the gate was right there. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said that mother will not allow me even this small kind of stealing. Now this was not stealing from our point of view. It was kept for him. So that is what asteya means. Asteya pratisthayam sarva ratnopasthanam. Okay, then next slide please. So Ahimsa Satya Asteya Brahmacharya Pratisthayam Virya Labha. Tremendous strength comes if one observes what is generally known as celibacy. But Brahmacharya means really the behavior or the lifestyle which is suitable for realization of the supreme reality which is known as Brahma. Brahmacharya का असली मतलब ये है कि ब्रह्म प्राप्ति के लिए अनुकूल इस प्रकार की दिनचर्या वही असल में ब्रह्मचर्य है. Not only keeping away from sex and all that. So Brahma, if one is establishing that brahmacharya, virya labha, tremendous strength, the physical strength and also the mental strength. We don't have much time to discuss this sutra right now, but they say that one who is observing brahmacharya, ojas will come. The sexual energy which is there will be expressed in terms of luster on his body. तो ब्रह्मचारी को आप अगर देखेंगे ना, रियल ब्रह्मचारी, you will find extraordinary luster in his eyes, even in his body, because all the sexual energy, all the energy has turned into what is known as ojas. So that ojas oozes out of him, brahmacharya, and that is the real strength which is mentioned here. So let us go to the next sutra. We have less time actually. Brahmacharya pratisthayam virya labha aparigrahi sthairye janma kathanta sambodha. If one is establishing aparigraha, that means non-accumulation, not acquiring so much, he gets actually janma kathanta sambodha means he gets knowledge of his other births also. That is one of the meaning. Or what is the purpose of life? Aparigraha sthairya. If he is not really accumulating anything, then he can know about his past lives as well. Janma kathanta sambodha. He can know the past life. You know how it happens? I will explain it. Will not be able to explain it elaborately. But even this body, I am the body, this is also a kind of accumulation. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the senses. And if you give up that idea that I am the body mind complex, this mind, this body, this senses is my treasure, this is something which I own. If you give up that idea, then you become free and you can travel in time, future and past, and that is how you can know all the births which you have taken, and you can also know the real meaning of life. Now the next sutra tells Shauchat Swa Anga Juguksa Parair Asamsargaha. If purity is observed as a Mahavrata, okay, then Swa Anga Jugupsa, you even your own body, you feel disgusted with your own body. In Maharashtra, there was a saint called Samartha Ramdas, and he has written in his book Dasa Bodha, he mentions that if you happen to look at your own body from inside somehow, if you are able to enter inside and see the body from inside, there is so much of dirt inside, so much of filth inside, that you won't like to stay in your body even for a second. It is like a very filthy gutter, from inside. All those humus and everything which is there inside is so dirt. The skin covers it and we try to use perfumes and all those things, but inside it is all dirty. So you won't like to stay in your own body even for a second if you observe purity. So those who observe purity, they will be able to go out of the body also very easily. Swa anga jugupsa, that means they do not like, they are disgusted with their own body, and if they are disgusted with their own body, what to talk about contact with the other bodies? Parair asamsargaha, they won't have any physical contact with others at all. Then there is another sutra on this, which is 241, and which tells something more about Sattva Suddhi Saunmanasya Ekagre Indriya Jayat Atma Darshana Yogyatwani Cha. Please have the next slide. Please get the next slide, please. The order has changed. It is 242. I am speaking about 241. Yes, this is the one. So this gives the effect of observing the Shaucha. So what happens due to Sattva Shuddhi? The Sattva Guna, out of the three gunas, that is Tamas and Rajas, will go, and the mind will be full of Sattva. And the Sattva has the power of cognition, power of knowledge, power of light. So that is why Sattva Shuddhi will come. Then cheerfulness of the mind. One will be able to focus the mind. Ekagre, Indriya Jayat. He will have full control over the sense organs. Atma Darshana Yogyatwani Cha. He will be eligible for self-realization. Atma Darshana. He will be able to have self-realization. Yogyatwani. He will be eligible for Atma Darshana, self-realization. So focusing of the mind, having total control over the sense organs, and complete purity of the mind and intellect, which is known as Sattva Shuddhi. So that is, and cheerful. He will be always very cheerful. That is why yogi who is observing Shaucha, he will be, even if you go and sit near him, that cheerfulness pervades him. You will be becoming cheerful. If you sit in front of a yogi who is observing Shaucha, you will find that your tensions and stresses are gone already, even by his presence. Now bring the last slide, which was there, 242. Santoshad Uttama Sukha Labha. If 242, the previous slide. Santoshad Anuttama Sukha Labha. If one is observing Santosha, contentment, as a Mahavrata, then he will be always happy. Unexhaled happiness, supreme happiness, Santosha, contentment. And this is something which we do not have. We are craving for the thing. If one thing comes, we crave for another. I want this, I want that. But one who is contented in his life, that is why Santa Tukaram says, ठेविले अनंते तैसेसी राहावे, चित्ती असू द्यावे समाधान. It is Marathi. I will not be able to say much about it, but that contentment is the highest value which Santa Tukaram tells. And you know, Kabir in one of his beautiful dohas, if he says very beautifully, Godhana, Gajadhana, Bajadhana, Aura Ratana Dhana Khan, जब पावे संतोष धन सब धन धूलि समान. So at that time, what was richness? Godhana, one who has many cows, he was regarded as a rich person. Or Gajadhana, one who has having so many elephants was regarded as rich. Or so many horses. Or a Ratana Dhana Khan, he can be an owner of a mine of precious stones. Ratana Dhana Khan. रत्नों की खान जिसके पास है वो कितना रिच होगा. बट ही सेज जब पावे संतोष धन, ये संतोष नाम का धन जिसके पास है, सब धन धूलि समान. फॉर हिम ऑल अदर वेल्थ इज लाइक ए डस्ट. व्हाट यू नीड इज एक्चुअली संतोष धन, कंटेंटमेंट. इफ यू आर कंटेंटमेंट, इफ कंटेंटमेंट इज देयर, एवरीथिंग इज देयर फॉर यू. सो दैट ब्यूटीफुली कबीर हैज सेड. Now the next slide, 43, 243. Kayendriya siddhi ashuddhikshaya tapasa. Tapasa. So he says that whatever purifies the body and the mind, it is called as tapas. What is tapas? The word tapas comes from tapa, which means to heat. You know, just as gold, if they want to purify the gold, they heat it. They put it in the fire and the gold is purified. So like that, whatever purifies the body and the senses, kaya indriya, shuddhi, whatever purifies the body and the senses. So the asanas, the pranayama, the fasting, very important for purification of body and mind. Fasting, upavasa, you know, and the kriyas which we do in the yoga, which is known as antarasnana, the shat karmas which we do, they purify the body from inside. Much more clean. That is why they are known as cleansing techniques. All of them, they clear the body as well as the senses, and that is known as tapas. So regular practice of asana, pranayama is said to be parantapaha. You know, they say pranayama parantapaha. The best among tapas is pranayama. If you do pranayam correctly, then the purification of the body and the senses take place tenfold more than any other practice. So pranayama is called as param tapaha. We go to the next slide, 244. Swadhyayat ishta devata samprayogaha. If you practice swadhyaya, the self-analysis, you know, swa adhyaya is called as swadhyaya. Ishta devata samprayoga, you will be able to see the Ishta devata, the desired deity. You will have the vision of desired deity if you do swa adhyaya, self-analysis. You know, in Bhagavad Gita also it is said that God is right within us. Sarvasya chaham rudhi sannivishta. That is what he says. And that God within us, it manifests in the form of Ishta Devata for everybody, depending upon your culture, depending upon your idea of God. The Lord or the God manifests in your heart in the form of Ishta Devata. So if you do Swadhyaya, if you do self-analysis, really Swadhyaya means penetrating within yourself, going within yourself, discovering yourself. So when you go on discovering yourself through Swadhyaya, you come to that point where the core of yourself, which is Ishta Devata, which is the God which is staying within you, he manifests. So that is why it is said, Swadhyaya Ishta Devata Samprayoga. स्वाध्याय करने से इष्ट देवता का दर्शन हो जाता है. And the last in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras is Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Pranidhanat. Ishvara Pranidhan means surrender to God. If you surrender to God totally, you enter into Samadhi. Patanjali has given this beautifully. That is one of the differences between Patanjali Yoga Sutra and Sankhya philosophy. You know, we say that Yoga Sutras or Patanjali Yoga is based on Sankhya philosophy. But Sankhyas are Nirishwarvadi. They don't believe in God. They don't have concept of God. Patanjali has introduced the concept of God, alien to the Sankhyas, to introduce bhakti sadhana in it. You know, so concept of Ishvara has been introduced. That is why Patanjali Yoga Sutras are many times they are called as Sa Ishvara Sankhya. It is almost Sankhya, but Sankhyas are without Ishvara. Patanjali Yoga Sutra is with Ishvara. So Patanjali Yoga Darshan is known as Sa Ishvara Sankhya, Seshvara Sankhya, because Ishvara is there. And because of Ishvara, Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender to God, becomes a yogic practice, which is not there in the Sankhyas. Now, what do we mean by surrender to God? The greatest surrender to God is the surrender of ego. You know, we surrender so many things. We surrender our wealth, maybe we surrender, we offer him flowers. The greatest offering is the offering of ego. Not me, but thou. That is the greatest surrender, which is expressed in the surrender to God. And if you do that, Ishvara Pranidhan, then Samadhi Siddhi, you enter into Samadhi. You know, the greatest wall which is there between man and the God is that ego. Ego separates us from the God. If that ego is surrendered, which is the real Ishvara Pranidhan, then you are face to face with God. That is how they say Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Pranidhanat. So those are the 10 beautiful, you can say, sutras which explain what are the powers which are associated with each yama and niyamas, provided we observe them as a Mahavrata. Now you may say that it is not possible and all that. If it is not possible, those powers will not come. To the extent possible, if you observe, that much strength of the mind will come. Now I see in my clock that there are is 5 minutes to 8, and I am afraid I have exceeded the time, and I also want to keep the time for question answers if any. So I think I should stop here, and if there are questions and answers, and if there is time, I'll be too happy to answer those questions. But right now, I think I should stop here. So I shall stop here with Shanti Mantra. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Many thank you, Shri Ramji, for your wonderful
Thank you.
explanation about this yam and niyam, which is very essential and very basic for the all yoga practitioners. So on this yama niyama, there are many questions are there, because such a controversial 2 points basically, and every mind is having some certain kinds of question on yama niyama. So I will request our Sukumarji, he will just go through the questions which are coming from the all participants and our coordinators. So over to Sukumarji to read the question for Sri Ramji.
Yes, I see one question there. Many are eating non-vegetarian food. Is it against ahimsa? Yes, of course it is against ahimsa. There is absolutely no doubt about it. And those who want to practice yoga, those who are yoga practitioners, those who are doing sadhana, for them it is definitely coming in the way of sadhana. But I will not make it as a general rule, you know, that non-vegetarian alone should be there, and all that, because it many times it depends upon the place where you are. You know, for example, I will give you one example. I was in Kashmir for such a long time. And Kashmir is one state in India where the Hindus are only Brahmins. In Kashmir, there are no other castes like Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Those castes are not there. All are Kashmir means Pandits. Kashmiri means only Brahmin. So all Hindus who are Kashmiris, they are Brahmins. And all are non-vegetarians, almost all. Why? Because of the circumstances. For 6 months, there will be ice, there will not be vegetable available and all that. So Kashmiris, they take, most of the Bengalis will take fish if they like. Behind every house, there will be pokri, and in that fish will be there. So like they like fresh fish. They call it joler phol. Okay. So I will not really say that I will not say that non-vegetarian alone is necessary for spiritual practices, and those who are eating non-veg food, they will never progress. I don't have such ideas. Okay. But then, having said all this, definitely if you can avoid it, if you can definitely, because in Ayurveda also they say, yatha annam tatha manaha. Why non-vegetarian has been told? Because if you eat more and more vegetarian, non-veg, then the Rajoguna increases. Okay, and Rajoguna makes the mind very active. Not only non-veg food, but they are against even the garlic, and they are even against the onion, because they are stimulating kind of food which will increase rajas. So if you want to calm down the mind, if you want to silence the mind, then naturally stimulating type of food is not good, particularly in the initial stages, of yoga. Particularly when you are sadhaka of initial, once you are a master, then there are no restrictions for masters, Swami Vivekananda used to eat non-veg food. He was a master. Nobody could ask him. But when you are really practicing and in initial stage, it is better for a practitioner to have only vegetarian food. Now, second question is, we tend to get angry now that sign has come in between where I can't see the question now. Can you remove that? I don't know. Some white sign has come. Ah, yes. We tend to get angry and express harsh words to overcome it. And there is something which I can't read. How to observe ahimsa. So each time the anger comes, anger, it is bad for others, but it is worse for the one who is getting angry. They say in the medical world also, 1 minute of intense anger, the energy which is required is equivalent to 6 miles of running. The energy which is required for 6 miles of running, you waste it in 1 minute of intense anger. In every kind of emotion, how much energy we are giving out. That is how the mental energy is dragged out. That is why the power doesn't come to us. The mental power we are lacking. So what they are saying, if you want to preserve your mental powers, if you want to focus the mind, if you want to concentrate well, if you want to silence the mind, then you can't throw away the mental energies, is anger, jealousy. That is why, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, they are known as Shad Ripuj. They are 6 great enemies of man, because they drag away a lot of mental energies. That is the thing. It is not for the sake of others, but for sake of ourselves, that we should not become angry or jealous or have greed. The write-up which I have given, the pollution which we find all around is because of our greed. Everybody is talking about not having pollution, but nobody wants, because of the greed, factories and other things. We'll not go into the details of that. Anyway, if any other question is there, we can discuss that. But the time is more than 8 o'clock, so I leave it to the organizers.
So Kumarji, is there any other question? Okay, Shriramji. So wonderful speech by you. An explanation about Yama and Niyama is a day-to-day our practice. It is only how much we are sincere and serious to our approach will depend.
Yes.
Our success will be depend totally on it. So, taking this opportunity, I will request Tanga Lakshmi. She is one of our coordinator for this project from Tamil Nadu, to give vote of thanks to all of us. Tanga Lakshmi ji.
Namaste ji.
Okay.
Namaste everyone.
Say,
Very happy to see you all for this wonderful talk by Sriram ji. Sriram ji explained Yamanema very naturally with the day-to-day life examples. We enjoyed it, and we take this opportunity to keep in our mind that we'll follow that, we will work on it. Thank you so much, Sriram ji.
thank you. Thank
Now,
you very much for organizing and inviting me.
Thank you so much, Sriram ji. I also
Thank you,
thank
sir.
I also thank Suman ji, who has done a comparing work very nicely. The program went on well, and Rashmi Didi, who introduced our speaker to us. I thank Rashmi Didi for that, and Sukumar ji, who facilitated with the questions from the coordinators and the instructors. Not but the least, I thank the participants, the elders who are attending our Vanaprasthi Common Community Yoga Protocol classes. Thank you so much, all of you. You are participating in our programs. And I thank the resource persons, instructors, coordinators who has made this event a grand one. Thank you so much. And we thank Sri Hardik Bhayaji, Hardik Mehtaji, who is the life worker of Vivekananda Kendra, who provided the link for this forum, the virtual platform, and helped us in organizing this talk. And I thank Vasudev ji, who gave this idea and who started this and who is having this classes for us, arranging these classes for us. Madan ji, who's helping with him for that, and who also Sridhar Anna, who is helping from office for all these PowerPoint presentations and all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Namaste. Shubharatri.
Thank you, Shubharatri. Thank you so much.
I will thank to Tanga Lakshmi for giving vote of thanks, and we will
Thank you,
conclude
sir.
our
Thank you.
session we'll conclude our session with the prayer. Please join your hands. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit prabhav bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar to all. Shubharatri, and we will meet.
Shubharatri, sir.
We'll meet